Welcome to Sex, Love and Science with Laurie Muratore, clinical psychosexual therapist and relationship expert. This podcast explores sexuality, relationships, and the many facets in between, aiming to normalize sexual conversations, issues that we all face. Let's take the taboo out of sexuality and open up the conversations for a better sexual existence. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Welcome back to Sex, Love and Science. I've got a special guest here. I have Dr. Joe Kort, all the way from America, joining us, who is a world-renowned psychosexual therapist. And so I would like to introduce Joe, Dr. Joe. And could you tell us, you do a lot of things. So could you tell us all the amazing things that you're up to at the moment?
Sure, definitely. I do a lot of things. So I started out as a regular psychotherapist, and then I thought writing would be fun. So I've written some books, and then I thought it would be fun to do a podcast. So I do that, Smart Sex, Smart Love. And then I thought it would be also nice, and I actually am growing my group practice. I have about 22 therapists that work for me in right outside of Detroit, Michigan. And I continue to do articles and write, and I see clients still, and I do intensives. Everything I do is a lot of fun. I just have to watch out that I don't do too much of it because it's so fun, I end up overextending myself sometimes.
Yeah, you're just saying yes to everything.
I am. Yeah. Some things I say no to. Finally, at 62, I'm like, okay, wait, I don't want to do that. But yes.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for joining us, because today we're going to be talking about a topic that I think confuses a lot of people, and it's also quite stigmatized. And I wanted to get yourself on the show because you do a lot of that on social media. So those who are listening today, please go follow. Can you tell us your Twitter handle? Oh, not your Twitter. I'm sorry. Your Instagram.
Yeah, it's all the same. It's everything you go to on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Yep. It's at Dr. Joe Kort, DrJoeKort.
Perfect. Because he has some fabulous reels. And I just saw one that was also featured on Psychology Today. So I think, I think you're a bit of a guru in this area. So we're going to dive in.
Thank you. All right, let's do it.
So what I've noticed, especially in the therapy room, but also, in going to different parties and things that I do, there's quite a heterosexual men have kind of a I guess they want to ensure that they're not labeled gay in situations if they fantasize or even have had sex or watch even gay porn, which I find, it's just really mind-blowing that that stigma exists, that it's not okay.
Yeah, right. So I talk about the difference between sexual orientation and erotic orientation. Your sexual orientation is to whom you're attracted, whether it's men, women, both, a blend of both, neither. And then you have erotic orientation, the fantasies that turn you on, the things that get you off. So I've worked with many lesbians who have violent rape fantasies of straight men raping them. They're feminists, they're anti-rape. They would never want that to happen. They're not even attracted to straight men. It's just an erotic turn on that has nothing to do with their orientation. It doesn't make them any less lesbian. And I love to use that example because it's like shocking to people. Like, wait, how could that be? Just like straight men who have sex with men or who look at gay porn, that it has nothing to do with their sexual orientation. It's all about their erotic orientation.
And thank you for coining that term, because I use those kind of very similar examples and talk about, like the fantasy onion, and we don't talk about the things, but that's a great way to kind of, I guess, really just put it so succinctly.
Yeah, and Esther Perel has taken a lot of the material that's out there and she's made it so available to people, which is that what you protest in the streets is what you get off on between the sheets. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So why do you think, and I guess there is kind of an imbalance or, when we're, and I hate looking at gender here, but we can look at men and women where, I think you did start speaking on this, where women can be bisexual or there's more freedom or it's sexualized and it's fetishized. And that's a hot thing. But if a man was to, I guess, want to have sex with a man or fantasize about men, it's taboo.
Yeah. So my very first TikTok in December of 2020, I said, and it went viral. I said, this is my tagline: when straight men have one non-heterosexual thought, he's stigmatized. When a woman has one non-heterosexual thought, she's fetishized. Yeah. Both are problematic. She has wiggle room to enjoy another woman and still be straight. When a man does it, it's over. His heterosexual identity is no longer accessible in terms of other people, how they perceive him. And he's either gay or bi based on, sadly, his behavior. We have decided, the younger generation, sadly, even the LGBT, if you engage in same-sex behavior, you're no longer straight. And that's just ridiculous. Behavior doesn't necessarily correlate to your orientation.
100%. And that is the key thing that people don't really understand. Could we maybe dive into that and explain why a behavior doesn't have to do that? Because I don't think that's something easily understandable.
It's only understandable when people think of heterosexually married gay men who marry women, have pleasurable sex with her, children. Everything's going great except that he discovers later that he's actually gay and that he's into men and he's into her. Everybody understands that. And they're like, oh, yeah, we get that he's gay. Now, some people protest that he's bi. He's not bi. He's only attracted to her, the woman that he fell in love with, because that's his person. He's not attracted to other women. But it's still more permissible. And people go, okay, yeah, he's gay. But if it was a straight man who was only attracted to women, but had one guy on the side, then he's no longer straight. It's a double standard. It's terrible.
Yeah. How do you think how do you think we can start changing this double standard and, I guess giving people permission to like what they like and not putting labels or orientation on things?
I think it's going to mean that people have to come out about it and talk about it. And it's really hard to do especially because the men that I treat that are with other men don't want to tell women, because women tend to think, well, he's gay. And my biggest thought was, when women find out that her man has been with another man, I asked her, is it more worrisome that he has going to bring back an HIV or STI transmission, or the fact that he could leave you? And every woman that I've talked to, most every woman has said, I'm afraid he's going to leave me. I'm much more worried about that than any kind of HIV thing.
Yeah. Wow. So it goes back to just the security within the relationship.
Yes. That's a good way to say it. Yes.
Yeah. And again, then we can kind of like draw that back to behaviors then, is how secure is the relationship and the behaviors that kind of are outside of the relationship, to almost separate the two, to maybe understand it better.
Right. And even if he hasn't acted on it, he might be thinking about it. He might be watching gay porn. For a woman, that is as if he's cheated. It's as if that it's already, the damage has been done, when it's just maybe, like I always say, there's a lot of gay men, and I'm one of them, that are turned off by gay porn. I'm only interested in straight porn. I like the activities that go on, and I like the kind of male that is engaged in straight porn. But that doesn't make me straight. It doesn't mean I'm really almost bi. And because there's a woman involved, it means that I'm gay and I like straight porn.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example. And I guess when I talk about porn in my practice, I kind of say, it's like watching like superhero movies. Like we might watch Spider-Man movie and we enjoy it, but we're not going to start jumping off buildings.
I love that. Very good. Yes.
Right. It's for entertainment or that eroticism or that fantasy, and we're allowed to have that.
Yes, absolutely. But people think of it as being real, and that it's, and I think what happens is people pathologize male sexuality. Like, we can't keep it in our pants. It's going to, it doesn't progress. It doesn't evolve. It progresses, and that we can't help ourselves. And that's just not true. It's not fair.
No, it isn't fair. It isn't fair, and it does play out in so many different relationship structures, or even non-relationship structures. Like, if you go to a sex club or an orgy, or you have a threesome, it's really what I've noted over the years is that there'll be guys there and everybody's putting on what do we like, what do you not like, what are the boundaries, and most guys will. The first thing is, I don't do gay things.
Yeah, right. They have to say that, right?
Yeah. And that's kind of usually the first thing that, in group settings, or, that's kind of, which always strikes me as, interesting, because that's the first thing they want to make sure everybody knows, that's a no-go zone, which we're all entitled to like and not like what we want. But I always think about the why. Why does it matter if, a woman or a man or even a non-gender specific person touches you in a place that you like to be touched?
Right. Now, he might enjoy that privately because he can't tolerate the stigma that's going to happen if he tells people, or the fact that his wife or girlfriend or female partner may decide, I don't want anything to do with you because you enjoy the touch or the experience of a man.
Yeah. And that does happen. I've met a lot of couples in the therapy room where, and heterosexual couples where, women are upset that they don't want their male partner doing those sort of activities in a swinging sex party sort of environment.
Yes. Now, the swinging culture, I have heard, I'm not in it, but I have heard that it's less homophobic, and there are men that are hooking up with other men, but it's not said. It's what you said. Like in the beginning, they may say, I'm not going to do this, but then it may be more open to it.
Yeah. And I think it really just depends on the people, the crowd, the experience level, and the comfortability. But I mean, yeah, that's a good point too.
And they're so afraid to talk about it. I mean, I've built a whole practice around it, not on purpose. See, I'm a trauma therapist, and I've always worked with men who've been perpetrated by male perpetrators, in childhood. And then they do trauma reenactment, which is one of the main reasons I see men in my practice. I spent 2 chapters on it in this book I wrote called Is My Husband Gay, Straight, or Bi?, where it's called trauma compulsion, trauma reenactment. They return to the scene of the sexual crime in terms of what happened to them with that male perpetrator. They reenact the same scenarios with another consenting adult, trying to solve the original issue. They don't know this. It's all unconscious, but that's really what's going on.
Oh, okay. So that's the science behind it. Thank you.
Yes, behind that part. Yes. Yeah. And it's not sexual urges. It's eroticized. It's trauma urges. And people don't understand that. That's too nuanced for a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh, well, and I mean, that also, I guess, would have to, not everybody wants to go back to their or speak about their trauma, and it stays unresolved.
Right, especially if it's untreated or nobody intervenes, then you end up returning to it repeatedly. We all do this to different degrees on different traumas. Only the sex with men occurs because you're trying to, your psyche's trying to say, hey, this happened to me. Let's go back and try to fix it. But you never do until somebody does a trauma intervention.
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious, like in your experience, how many men do you think have fantasies or have actually had sex or sexual activity with other men? And that's
such a great, we don't know. That's such a great question because it's underreported. People don't talk about it. The men don't come forward about it. I only know from my practice or the work of people that are doing sexual fluidity is what it's called. Where men are heteroflexible. They're mostly straight, but every once in a while, a certain man, a certain time, a certain place. You can be homoflexible. You can be mostly gay, but there's a certain woman at a certain time in a certain place. Lesbians do it all the time. We talk about lesbians doing it. Gay men heterosexually married, but we don't see it in the same way.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And I guess what I've found, I don't know about you, but in my practice, when you have like a lesbian couple or a gay couple who then do that hetero or the homo flexibility, it's really frowned upon. Like there's kind of an outrage that, say, for example, a lesbian couple, that one of them had sex with a man because of feminism or because that's not something we do. And I guess there's really kind of, like a bit of a shaming going on.
Yeah, it's like it really is. It's really similar to what heterosexual couples do to each other if they've been with the same sex.
Exactly. So there's kind of like this gatekeeping of, well, I guess sexual orientation, but also fantasies and just even sexual behaviors that just seems really unfair for, I guess, however we identify.
Yes, I think it contributes to an insecure attachment, an anxious attachment. I can't compete with this man you've been with if I'm a lesbian or in a lesbian couple. And what does this mean about our relationship? Usually it means nothing. It's erotic. It's not an orientation issue.
Exactly. And wouldn't that be, I mean, and that's such a good, it doesn't mean anything, but I mean, it would take years for some people to kind of really let that sink in to understand.
Yes, it's so sad, and years and pain and, guilt and unforgiving and lack of empathy. There's so much to it because it's infidelity, even if the person hasn't acted on it. Just the thought of it is what's hard.
Yeah. And that always strikes me as, so I've got, lots of clients who come in and hetero couples where, the female client might have found gay porn on their husband's search history. And they really are incredibly distraught about that and place so much meaning on that. And it takes a long time to work. And then it happens more frequent than not.
I wish I could remember the name of the person that did this study. I talk about it all the time in my trainings, but they found in this study that 55% of the straight men who it was 35% of the straight men who they polled were watching gay porn. 55% of the gay men were watching straight porn. It didn't change their orientation. It was just something in the erotic realm that caught their eye and caught their attention, but it had nothing to do with leaving a relationship or being attracted to people. What people don't understand is that there's a lot of straight men that are attracted to the action and the activity between themselves and another man. And they're not necessarily attracted to the man. That's the issue.
And okay. Could you explain that? Because I think people will, that's the piece that people will really will help people grasp.
Yeah. So a lot of the men that come to me will say, I did it because of availability. Men are more available. Women are less available. They're not knocking women, and women have a reason to not be available. Violence, STIs, pregnancy. There's lots of slut shaming, all kinds of reasons why women are not as available. Men are more available for the release. Men are more available to have they can be submissive with another man. They can engage in kink and fetish kinds of things with another man. And a lot of these men will say, I didn't think of it as cheating because it was another man. I wasn't attracted to him. And then the main one, by the way, is, and I wrote my chapter 3. I did 2 chapters on trauma reenactment, but Is My Husband Gay, Straight, or Bi? Chapter 3 is all about anal sex. A lot of the men want to bottom, but they're afraid to tell their female partners, or their female partner freaks out. So they're willing to go to another man so that they can bottom. And a lot of therapists, including, a lot of therapists will say, then you must be gay if you're bottoming with another man. It's not true.
No, it's not true. It's not. And I guess even going back to, the inability to tell their, female partner, I'd like this. Like, this is something that I enjoy, which I just find, as a therapist, and it's really, heartbreaking that you can't say, this is what I like. To safely say, I like this in a relationship. I guess the female partner doesn't have to do anything with that. They don't have to peg them or go into that. But to not have that ability in a relationship and understanding without that shame, or you can't do this because you're gay. It's I find that really distressing.
And what I find distressing too is that, thinking of a man bottoming, as being gay, right? I don't bottom, I don't top. I coined the term side, if you know, right? As a gay guy, I've never topped, I've never bottomed. It doesn't make me any less gay. I always say your anus doesn't have a sexual orientation. It doesn't know whether it's gay, straight, or bi.
Correct. And we all have one. I mean,
yes. And some like pleasure with it and some don't, and I don't.
Yeah, well, and that's, I mean, I guess that's a good way of going back to it is, we all have one, and we can do with that what we please.
But our culture has decided if you're a man and you enjoy anal sex, receiving mostly, then you're not straight. But now there's people on TikTok, I don't even know this, on social media, women saying if he wants to keep doing it in your butt, then he's not straight. It's ridiculous.
It is. It is. So I guess what we're really saying is we need more therapists on TikTok and Instagram to really change the narrative, is what you're saying.
Yes. We need more education, real education, not, people's fake, anecdotes about things.
And there is a lot of that on TikTok, which kind of really infuriates me, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yes.
So I guess the more information that's out there, the better. But I mean, just real quick though, censorship's an issue. I don't know about you, but I think it's pretty difficult to talk about, bottoming or, anal play on social media.
So it wasn't at first. When I first got on TikTok and I didn't have high numbers, even though I had viral videos, I could say everything I needed to say, the right words, the right terminology. But as I became more popular and I became more I have like 684,000 people that are following me now. The higher I got, the more I started having to talk like a 10-year-old boy, 11-year-old boy. And people will make fun of me. I just did a video. It went viral about, I did a video about being a side and then I don't like the carrot and the donut. Is what I said. I just called it that. Everyone knew what I was talking about, but people would say, oh, you're a trained PhD therapist and you can't say penis and you can't say anus. And I want to say, and I do try to in my comments, I cannot on social media. I'll get censored. I'll get banned.
Exactly. I mean, nobody can really win. No matter who you are, we're going to be picked apart for everything, which I guess is part of what we're talking about today. Really, is you can't be a man and like doing things with another man.
And let me just say this really quickly. It's probably not part of our podcast, but people, if you go viral, I think we all want to go viral. It's so fun, right? You think, oh my God, my numbers. I went viral so many times. The one time I went viral about straight men who have sex with men, it went viral 3 times. And I almost took it down because it was weeks and weeks of people threatening me, threatening my license, threatening my life, threatening my home. You can't believe the crap, the horror that is out there. So it really is almost dangerous to have this kind of education for people that are troubled by it.
Wow. I don't often lose words, but it shows you how powerful and spot on you are.
Yes, right. I totally hit a nerve. And when I went viral, I was in a gym doing, I was working out. At the time, I wish I would love to tell you I was so smart that I knew exactly how to do this. I wasn't. It was an accident. I was in the gym and, at the time TikTok said, make sure you're not in the same room. Make sure you're walking around different places. I was working out. I was feeling good about my body. And so I was talking about straight men hooking up with other men. And because I was in like a male environment and on what's seen as male machines, I think I challenged the patriarchy is what I did.
Yeah. Well, nobody wants you to change. No, nobody's allowed to challenge the patriarchy no matter. Right. Don't do that.
That's right, but I did. Oh, well.
Yeah. Thank God. Thank God. Sorry to hear all the abuse that you received, but I mean, way to challenge the patriarchy, the narrative, and really just push back.
And those people that abuse me or try to abuse me, they're not my audience anyways. Although I will tell you, I sometimes do get caught up in somebody's, I try so hard not to, but sometimes they get to me. So I start fighting with them and we're like, text war back and forth. And all of a sudden it stops. This is what happened to me when it first happened. It all stops. And I go to look and they're 13 years old. I've been fighting for an hour with a 13-year-old whose mother probably said, dinner's ready, honey. And she's done, he's done, like fighting with me about the war of words,
Yeah. Wow. I know. Oh, that's just like, oh man.
I don't do that anymore. I look at people's profile.
Yeah. Fair enough. Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh man. And as a mom, like that terrifies me when my kids are teens, like, oh God, what are they going to be looking at? But that's a whole nother story as well.
Well, and they think they know better than what I'm saying. I'm a 40-year in the field therapist, 62 years old. And not that teens don't have something to add, but you don't know better than me. You just don't. And they think they do.
Exactly. And that's the power of social media, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the more people keep seeing the same thing, I think the more chance we are to start changing different, different generations, to start, I guess, normalizing thing. And maybe that's a good question. Is I'm curious what you think about this. Is how younger generations are more, I guess, sexually fluid or gender fluid or more accepting. Do you think that's necessarily true? And if so, do you think that they'll be more susceptible to understanding that you could be under any sexual orientation and like whatever you like?
I do think it's true, and I do think it's changed, and I absolutely love all of it, that they're younger and younger talking about gender fluidity, talking about sexual fluidity, but it's geographic. Like I'm here in Michigan, that doesn't happen here. It's very conservative here. So people think, oh, it's so different, and it is. It's so much better, but it depends on where you're at. And but I do think it's better. But I also think, unfortunately, the young people also don't understand. Well, they're open to LGBT being fluid. They're not open to straight people being fluid. So there's a judgment. It's like they have their own discrimination going on outside of the community.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. So straight people can't be fluid.
No, if I say it, they're like, not at all.
Kind of zooming out, there's a lot of discrimination across the board, like just as humans, in order to, I guess, try to gain some sort of power or comfortability or security within ourselves, which, I guess that's how I look at it is rather than, I guess, identify. And it's just humans are just being unkind to other humans.
Well, I think it's a trauma response. So the trauma is we're taught we're not. Like people don't understand. We may have same-sex attraction, or we may know that we're not the gender that we were identified as at birth. But we're taught that we have to role play heterosexuality. We have to role play cisgender. Right. So you're going along. Then you finally grab your identity and say, no, fuck it. This is what I am. This is who I am. But then we start policing each other. Like we start doing to others what was done to us. That's what's so horrible. It's untreated, I think, covert trauma from growing up LGBT.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I haven't really thought about it in that way, but that's a good way of looking at it. So
on a good day, I can remember that. When I get involved with people that fight me, I forget, and then I start fighting.
Yeah. How what's a way? So if you are somebody who's, having other people fight you, what kind of, I don't know, what kind of tips or advice would you give? Like, I guess if people are listening now and they are subject to that, what would you say?
That you're never going to convince somebody what you think. If they're bent on telling you who you are and telling you what you're, and I've tried. I get seduced, right? I'm like, oh, this person's saying something. Maybe they can learn. We can have a debate. There's no debate. I can see right away now. If I say something, they're trolling me. They want to put me down. They want to humiliate me, and I'm out. If you want to have a disagreement with me, I'm all about it. But once you start attacking me, and attacking my thoughts and telling me that I don't have a say in this, stop talking to that person. You're wasting your time.
Yeah, perfectly put. And I mean, that's just great couples advice as well. Is once the contempt criticism starts happening and gets thrown around, right? That's time to
yes.
We can definitely debate and have conflict. And I agree. I'm happy to have those conversations. But putting somebody down is not okay.
No, not at all.
No, that's great advice.
I definitely had to learn it, right? I didn't know it at first. I was fighting, trying and thinking that I was like, well, we're going to have differences, but we're not in a culture or a world that allows for much differences anymore. So if you don't allow for it, I move on. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, the world is becoming more and more, I guess, divisive, really, and not, it seems like even more problematic that we cannot we can't agree to disagree.
No, it's really sad. And, we call it differentiation, right? We know that in our field, helping people say that what makes me right doesn't make me wrong. What makes you good doesn't make me bad. We can both be a little bit of both. And that's really the maturity of a relationship that a lot of people don't have the capacity to do, sadly, in our culture today.
No, that's a good point. All right. Putting that thought let's put that into a heterosexual relationship real quick. How can we, I guess, tell that couple that it's okay to like, the male could like gay porn? Like, how would you kind of take a step towards that differentiation?
Yeah, probably just like the education of sexual orientation versus erotic orientation, helping it understand that it's not a threat, that it's not necessarily gay or bi, just because they're interested in that, or that they've had past experiences, or that they've cheated on you with the same sex. That's infidelity. We have to absolutely deal with that. But the fact that you think that it has to mean that he's going to have a trajectory of coming out is lack of information. It's naivete, and it's the cultural myth.
Yeah. And then, I mean, I'm not quite sure about this. Maybe what do you think is the statistics of, these stories? I mean, because, I know you said earlier that it rarely happens, but any idea of statistics of men who, I guess, who go down the coming out route versus, no, I'm staying in a marriage and I've just liked, I've liked bottoming. It's, I'm wondering if there's any numbers on that, but
I don't know the numbers, but here's what I did figure out. And I didn't even know that I was doing this. So when I wrote the book, Is My Husband Gay, Straight or Bi? I had a writer help me because it was my fourth book. And I don't know if you've written any books. Have you done any of that yet?
I'm in the process of writing a book.
Okay. So, it's like having an affair. You are like taking so much time away from your partner. If you have one, your life. I'm glad I wrote all my books, but I wrote my first three books all by myself. It was a lot of work. So I finally decided in my fourth book, I'm going to do it with somebody, which was still a lot of work, by the way. But anyway, so this guy helped me frame my thinking. And he said, how do you know whether you're sitting across from somebody gay, straight, or bi? So I don't have the numbers, but I do have these 4 questions that I ask. He helped me really understand. And they're clinical questions. It's not research based.
Yep.
The first question is, do you have any youthful noticing? In other words, as a gay guy, I remember being in the showers, having a crush on this kid named Billy Ramnick. I have gay memories of attractions to boys. Straight men who have sex with men, they have no youthful noticing of other boys. They may have been involved in a circle jerk. They may have had a night of masturbation with some best friend, but they weren't turned on by the guy. They were turned on by what happened, and it was a passing moment. For a gay guy, it was like, when was my next invitation? When is this going to happen again? So that's the first thing. The second question is homophobia. The straight men who have sex with men have no homophobia. They're like, if I'm gay, help me be gay. Gay and bi men are so homophobic, they don't even make it to my office. I'm too gay for them. They want a therapist to help them understand that they're not gay or bi. The third question is the beach test. When you're on the beach, what are you looking at? No offense to you or any other woman in the world, but when I'm on the beach, you are in my way. I'm looking at all the adult men all around you, right? The straight guy's looking at women, not men. And the last question is, who do you want to come home to? Who do you want to wake up next to? Straight men who have sex with men always say women.
That's perfect. That's wonderful. I think those are that is just a wonderful way to wrap all of that up, because I think those questions are fantastic. I mean, for anybody listening and questioning, I think that's a really just great way of going, okay, I am straight, and I'm comfortable with that, or I am gay and I'm comfortable with that. Or
right. It's really inside them. I would say I'm not a gay whisperer. If I was, I would be so rich I would be with Cher tonight on my yacht, listening to her sing while I'm eating caviar. I'm not, right? So I can't tell them who they are, but I can help them go inside and see it themselves.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for today. This is like, I could probably talk to you for a very long time, but I'm conscious of time.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you have anything or any last pearls of wisdom that you'd like to leave? Or I call it the moment of Zen.
I would say that your behavior doesn't determine your orientation. It's a correlation. It's not a causation. And please don't, think that just because you are erotically interested in something that goes against your values, that means there's something wrong with you. What makes it hot is that it goes against your values. As long as you're not hurting anybody or hurting yourself, that it's all okay. That's really what I would want people to know.
Absolutely bloody brilliant. Thanks for taking the time all the way from America, and I'll pop up all your info in the show notes. So I think, I would encourage everybody listening to definitely go check out your resources and all your information, because they are fantastic.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be on your show, Lauren.